Trekcast.
The galaxy's most unpredictable Star Trek podcast.
Hello and welcome to Trekcast, the galaxy's most unpredictable Star Trek podcast. I am one of your hosts, Daniel Lombardo. With me as always, we have Daniel Reyes, Scott Strongbeard Bowders, and this is a special Trekcast crossover episode. Right. We've got a couple guys here. I think one is from the Mr. Belvedere podcast. The other is from the Love Boat podcast. I don't know. I met these guys 2 minutes ago, so maybe they can tell us who they are. I don't know.
Matt, why don't you go first?
Yeah, Matt, go first.
Yeah, Matt, I'm one of the co-hosts of the Pod-Wraiths podcast, which is a Star Trek Deep Space Nine podcast. My co-host Elise and I watch Star Trek Deep Space Nine and share our deep and irreverent thoughts on our favorite Star Trek series.
Nice.
And I'm Patrick from the It's Got Star Trek podcast. My co-hosts Dan, Jesse, and I have a weekly sort of humor-centric go all over the Star Trek universe. We cover the new shows when they're airing. Otherwise, we have an algorithm that we've applied that selects the next topic for us from some point in the Star Trek franchise. And so we try not to be too serious, just have a little fun every week.
Nice. Right. And are you in space right now? Is that what's going on?
I'm in space. Yeah, I'm actually in a cruise ship in space. Fantastic. Because the reality behind me, when I've not used this clever little background, people think I'm in a murder room. Because I'm in my
think.
Think exactly. You know, when I'm
okay, we got a guy in a basement apparently. So
thanks for having me on the show today.
You know what? You can podcast. You can literally podcast from anywhere. Just so
I'm digging the car. That's great. That's a great location.
You know what? I got a family. I got kids at home. There's just no quiet spot. So I've been doing this podcast from the driveway for how long have we been doing this, Daniel? Like
6-7 years.
8,
9.
Yeah.
You guys
were doing this before me.
That's right.
But I mean, I'm out in the world. Life goes on. There's people walking by. You'll see me waving.
You're exploring strange new worlds of New York.
Yep. I've taken deliveries from Amazon while doing the podcast.
Jehovah's Witnesses
have approached.
Nice.
It's good.
That's right.
It's all good.
Well, we're all gathered together today for to discuss the health of Star Trek. How we think
dearly beloved.
That's right. That's right. Yes. We're going to talk about the current state of the franchise, how things are going, and that's why we wanted to bring on some other podcasts too to talk about it. So it's not just us, but overall what the fans are thinking. We did a survey. We had quite a lot of people fill out the survey, and I think we got a pretty good temperature check.
I'm looking forward to seeing the results of that.
Yeah, me too. So, but before that, we should get into Star Trek news since there's going to be a lot. So
yeah, let's do it.
Here we go.
Star Trek news.
So our first bit of Star Trek news is some very sad news. It comes to us from Deadline, and unfortunately, Roberto Orci, one of the writers and producers of the Star Trek reboot films, has passed away. He was 51 years old. He was also one of the writers and director and producers of the Transformers films, a few of those. He was 51 years old. He passed away on February 25th, looks like after a battle with kidney disease. Or he was also known for being the collaborator with Robert Kurtzman. So, yeah, that's all we know about that. Also, we had another death in Hollywood to kind of talk about.
Yeah.
Gene Hackman.
Yeah.
That should not be failed to be mentioned.
Yeah.
Interesting circumstances with that one right now, but we will find
Still,
out.
it's still unfolding.
Still unfolding. Yeah. That one's a weird one.
Well, normally with a 95-year-old actor, you're like, oh well,
exactly.
But because of the bizarre circumstances, it's
his wife and the dog, and like
It was likely like carbon monoxide poisoning.
Well, I've heard they ruled that out already.
They came in. They came in, checked the gas. They said they already checked the bodies for signs of carbon monoxide poisoning. They said no.
All right. So I haven't been paying attention.
First they were saying there was no foul play, but now they're saying it's suspicious.
There's pills strewn about, but they don't know if that was an act, just tipping it over while passing out, or I don't know.
Yeah.
And then there were two other dogs that weren't affected that were found roaming around. So I mean, it's a real proper mystery. It'll be at the topic of many podcasts to come, no doubt, until they sort it out.
Sure. So, all right.
Patrick's always looking for an angle.
Yeah,
maybe his next podcast.
Yeah, he was a very prolific actor. Of course, I will always know him as Lex Luthor.
Absolutely.
Yes. Greatest criminal mind of our age has been lost.
Right. That's right. All right. Our next news story comes to us from Trek News or TrekNews.net, and we are getting more information about the Star Trek audio series that's coming around.
Yes.
Star Trek Con. It's coming at some point this year, 2025, and they have hired lost actor Navin Andrews as Khan. Khan, you believe it? We have a new Khan.
Wow.
Come on, that was right there. Come on.
I can't.
That's
what
right.
Do y'all think, what do y'all think about this concept, the audio drama concept? Because I keep going back and forth on. I'll listen to it when it comes out. I'm excited that it's something different and new, but I don't know what to make of this.
Yeah, I don't know.
They've done it for like Batman and Flash, and it's fine. It's a kickback to the old 1920s radio plays.
I'll listen to it. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I drive a semi for a living, so I'll listen to it. And lately I have been listening to a lot of Star Trek podcasts. I meant to say audiobooks. And I just got done listening to a Batman 1989 Batman sequel audiobook. I'm listening to some Star Trek Picard audiobooks that are pretty good. There's another. They've already come out with sort of this kind of a concept thing with 7 of 9 and Raffi. It's different than an audiobook where there's actually sound effects, and the different actors are playing their parts. So you've got Jerry Ryan and whoever played Raffi. Dan, you're a big fan of Raffi. Who plays Raffi?
Yes.
Okay.
No, Raffi. That's his name, Raffi.
That's his name.
Oopals and Banoodles.
Raffaella. So, but the reason I haven't purchased that one yet, because most of the audiobooks are like around $15, but you get like 10 hours of entertainment. This is only like an hour and 45 minutes for the same price. So
is it interesting?
All
right.
Yeah. So we'll see what this has to offer, how much it's going to be, and
I don't know. I feel like it's an hour and 45 minutes because they wrote it to do a TV show.
I can't wait.
And when it didn't happen, they're like, we'll just do it without the cameras.
Yeah. I can't wait for the ads where Khan starts reading about like Blue Chew and mattresses.
Yeah.
That's what I'm excited about.
Yeah. TurboTax.
Yeah, exactly. So we have no idea when this is coming out. So at some point this year.
You know what bothers me though?
What's that?
The picture.
What about
that they picked to show?
No, it's an audio drama. All right. And so if they're gonna show a picture of him, either from his time in the show Lost, or a picture of him standing on the sidewalk drinking a latte or something, fine. But to kind of make it like put him in a costume and make him look like he might look people are the average person is stupid. They're going to see the article and think there's a con
You're
TV
right.
series.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%.
That's what I thought when I saw the picture.
Yep, they do this a lot with comic books. These clickbait articles. Something big happens in the comic book, and they'll do a headline, and they'll do a picture of like the MCU version of that character, and now you get all these people talking about this event that's going to happen in the MCU, and no, it's not. They're talking about a comic book, but you don't read the article. You look at the picture and read the headlines, and I feel like they know that, and they purposely do that.
Oh yeah. Well, speaking of picture, our last news story comes to us from independent.co.uk, and William Shatner was responding to a fan on Twitter. Fan asked him, "How could you let them kill off Kirk and Generations?" And Grandpa replied with the GIF. The GIF was amazing. So this was the GIF. Just shoot one in the air. Grandpa knows what's up.
Oh, that's great. I didn't see that. That's fantastic.
Yeah, so he's in his 90s. He doesn't care anymore. He's just gonna tell you.
Yeah.
So.
Real Harrison Ford about Star Wars hours there, right? Just
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but that's all the news stories.
What's up with the mount?
I mean, it's still for sale.
Yeah.
The deal has not been finalized.
Okay.
We got time.
All right.
Go to our Patreon and we'll buy the Paramount together. We'll just couple a lot of money together.
Actually, maybe if the three podcasts join forces,
we
could purchase Paramount. I know we don't have the funds to do it alone.
Yeah,
we don't have enough to do it alone. But if you guys want to chip in, maybe
we could scrounge up like $17 and maybe
we can make this happen.
We're getting closer and closer to the number they're going to need.
Exactly.
The problem is I'm in Canada, so it's Canadian money, which might as well just be Monopoly money. So I don't know how much I can actually contribute to that.
Yeah, but that's where they shoot everything now, so that might help.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Get those good.
There was
tax
some talk
breaks
of Canadian TV recently.
What's that?
There was some talk on the podcast about Canadian TV recently.
Yeah, right. Canadian TV, and how much I love it. I love Canadian TV. It's one of my favorite varieties of TV.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get to our main topic, the health of Star Trek, how things are going. So here we go.
Fun will now commence.
Yes, shit talking may now commence.
Essentially, yes, yeah. So basically, this spurred from the idea of we had 3 Star Trek series end last year. We had Prodigy, we had Discovery, and we had Lower Decks all come to an end. And we just wanted to see what was going on, where fans were at with Star Trek. We do have the promise of Star Trek Academy or Starfleet Academy coming around the corner, but you go down to any Star Trek posting, any official posting, everyone's like, "Where's Legacy?"
Yeah.
So it's kind of like where are we at, right? So I guess we lost Scott, but
that's all right. I like these guys better.
Scott'll be back.
Scott'll be back. Yeah,
he'll be back.
Anyways. So I kind of wanted to give, talk about that. I also wanted to kind of give you an idea of where we're at compared to where we were when we first started with Star Trek. So, because the numbers are kind of there, that overall things are better. So first off, I kind of wanted to show this. When Star Trek first came back in 16, 17, something like that.
Yeah.
2017, I think.
Yeah, we had CBS All Access was the big streaming service, right? That was there's Scott. Okay, bringing it back in. There you go.
I'm back.
Okay. So yeah, CBS All Access, right before they folded and turned into Paramount Plus, they were tipping at about 30 million subscribers, right? That's about, and when they first started around 19 million subscribers, and then they increased by about 11 million over its run as CBS All Access. Then from there, Paramount took over, and for about a year, it was about right in the 30s, and then up until it combined with Showtime, they tipped the scales at about 36 million subscribers. To give you an idea, currently Netflix has over 300 million subscribers. So it's a fraction of what could be the potential, but that's where we're at.
But who has more Canadian produced television? Because
That's
that
true.
is really what I gravitate to. And
That's right. That's right. That's
Now,
right.
do you all subscribe to Paramount Plus currently? I mean, not to
We
reveal
do
any
as a show.
I got you.
Yeah.
I mean, one reason why I ask is because it's like, if you do, why do you? I still have a subscription, and it's nominally for the Star Trek, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe, but every day I start thinking to myself, I mean, you know, you can watch Star Trek in a number of different ways, and especially when new shows aren't on. Got the old stuff saved to my computer, so I don't.
That's kind of that's my theory why they haven't announced when Strange New Worlds is starting back up, because they just want you to hold on to it. Because you never know.
Digital edging of some sort. You know?
Well, I wonder if how many people are like pausing their subscription and then coming back, and I'd be curious to see what the numbers are. The month that Strange New World debuts.
Yeah, I was looking for stuff like that, and I could not find that specific of numbers. I was able to find this, which was a quarterly breakdown of subscribers from the beginning of Star Trek or Paramount Plus to current, our current third quarter numbers. So as you can see, like they started out low in the 16s. Now we're up into 71 million, 72 million. But one of the big things that I found, because none of these coincide with, like Picard season 3 debuted or Strange New World season 1 or 2, like none of that correlates with any of these jumps. The biggest correlation I found was when Paramount Plus signed an exclusive deal with Walmart to offer their streaming service with the Walmart Plus service.
So people just got it by default.
Yeah. So
like Amazon Prime.
Amazon Prime
Video.
Yeah. So if you get the Walmart Plus, which I don't know if you guys have that in Canada, Matt, but
if we do, I don't subscribe. So
okay.
Yeah.
So
I wasn't
Plus
even aware of nothing.
Yeah, they just give you like you can go get your groceries at any level, or
it's you get free shipping and stuff too.
Yeah, and like cheaper gas.
It's Amazon Prime. It's Walmart Prime. Is what it is.
Basically.
Walmart Prime sounds terrifying, like a transformer.
But I'm pretty sure, yeah, right. But I'm pretty sure my wife has this, which means technically I have 2 Paramount Plus subscriptions.
There you go.
You are all in.
Yeah. Yeah, but they give you the ad-supported tier, whereas we don't have that. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But you still get ads if you pay for the.
I know you do. It's terrible.
It's the most horrific. Anyway, there's another. Topic. Oh
the thing that infuriates me more is when you hit skip intro and it still plays the intro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What really pisses me off is when you're getting an ad for the thing you are watching. You're trying to watch the thing and they're showing you an ad.
I'm already watching it. Leave me alone.
It can't be that complicated to sort that out. I don't know.
Fine, I'll watch it again. Just.
Yep.
I promise. If you let me watch it now.
Yeah.
What's even more frustrating? We've got Netflix, and we went to watch a movie on Netflix, and we've got the ad-supported version on Netflix. I checked out 3 different movies last night. Couldn't watch them because I do the ad-supported Netflix. I had to actually rent them from Prime. Rent one of them from Prime.
That's crazy.
That bothers me a little bit. It's like, all right, if it's not available on my tier, take it off my menu.
I agree.
Yeah.
Don't tease me with it.
Yeah.
Again, with the digital edging.
Yeah.
But so really it hasn't been that Star Trek has boosted them. It's this Walmart thing. It makes sense, right? Like pretty much everyone goes to Walmart. And then I found this via Flix Patrol, just the number streaming services around the world and how many subscribers they have. And Paramount Plus is down there. They're number 7. Netflix is number 1 at over 300 million. Prime has got 200 million, but Paramount's right around 72 million.
What's Hotstar?
Yeah, what is
Never
that?
heard of it.
I've never heard of Hotstar. I looked up
Sounds like an
Kiwi?
X-Men character or
I,
something.
yeah. Well, I thought it was interesting that Hulu was on there.
It's an
But I
adult X-Men character.
Yeah. Hulu though just has like people who only subscribe to Hulu by itself, which is interesting. Yeah.
Which I imagine will go away at some point, right? Isn't that the?
I would
the
think
plan is
so.
Disney's already combined the whole Hulu library in there, so one presumes they're going to stop supporting that kind of extra
At some point. Yeah.
What is 10-cent video? What is that?
That's Chinese, I believe.
Is that?
10 cents? That's
I mean,
a
you've heard of
Chinese company.
Braziers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Paramount's got a lot of ground to make up till it's playing with the big boys, but that's where we're at with subscribers. So
I'm curious about the profitability, right? Because you could have low subscribers but high profitability if depending on what your library is. You know, I guess that was the impetus for all these IP owners. They were like, we should have our own streaming thing because we got this whole library, and it's a big battle over whether you want to watch Star Trek and Andy Griffith or whatever's on HBO Max or whatever they call it, Max.
Yeah, Max.
Used to call it Max. It drives me nuts. But you know, so I'm curious about that because it does cost money to run those servers, right?
It does. It's more expensive than people think. Yeah. But as far as profitability, I don't have those numbers. I went looking for them. The thing is, hard to find, I think. Yeah, they don't like to say that too much, especially with
they don't want to say we're running our company into the ground.
Yeah, Paramount was running into the ground for quite a bit. And I know that their movies have been doing well, and that's kind of what's been propping them up. Things like the Top Gun reboot and a few of their other films have really helped them. But you know, they're also for sale, and that family, the Redstones, want to get out. Who knows what that'll mean for the future? Will they start fresh again with everything? We don't know. You know.
Yeah.
Well, who doesn't want to buy Section 31? So.
Somewhere in a boardroom at Paramount, they're pitching Section 31-2 to Tom Cruise and doing a Mission Impossible crossover.
Yeah, and they're going to call it Section 32. Will be the title.
I'm hoping for the Section 31 Paw Patrol crossover. That's what I want. Yeah. And then we got our survey. So, I guess I'll ask you guys, what do you think of the current state of Star Trek? We asked people, is it great, exciting, okay, could be better, or the new stuff just isn't for me? Where do you guys sit on it?
I think Rafaela Musica and Michael Burnham are going to lead Star Trek into the next millennium.
I think so, huh?
The next one or this one? Because I can't wait. I can't wait for the next one.
Yeah, we got a ways to go for the next one.
Yeah,
I think they might take us backwards.
In a lot of ways, for me, the current state is pretty much just a microcosm of kind of where the wider industry is in person. Like, like, you know, some of it I enjoy, you know, but not to the same degree as like other things. And like some of it's like not for me, and like that's okay, right? But there's just, not to get too like esoteric about it or whatever, but just the way they write TV now in general, it's not how I engage with media or really like it. It's a lot of like, and then this happens, and then this happens. And like, this was like Discovery, right? Where it was so plot heavy, and it's like things just happen, as opposed to because Michael Burnham does this happens, and it's less based in character and more based in plot. And I think that's why Strange New Worlds is kind of the shining gem for me of like the contemporary era, because it is more of that episodic. Yes, you can have that kind of plot, but it almost does do the DS9 thing a little bit, where you have those windows into character, which is, you know, whether it's the TNG thing or the Voyager, like a little bit more of that classic Star Trek. But yeah, I'll fess up. I still haven't seen the final season of Discovery, not because I don't like Discovery, it's not my favorite, but I didn't care enough to seek it out. And when, because there's just so much out there.
Dan's like,
Dad blocked it out.
right? And it's no like statement of like, you know, quality or like who leads it or like whatever. It's just, if you're not making me care, is that an issue? Is there a new audience that's finding it? Like, I
Yeah.
don't know, right?
Mhm.
So
And I mean, I share a lot of those same thoughts. I for the survey, I actually put great and exciting, but there's an asterisk there. The caveat there is I think it's great and exciting in the sense that they're producing a lot, they're trying different things.
right.
And on our podcast, when we discussed Section 31, we had a lot of fun talking about it as a big mess. But I was also like, hey, look, it didn't work out, but they tried something, and with Lower Decks and Prodigy, and as well as Discovery and Strange New Worlds and the short treks, they tried a lot of
Yes.
things.
Yeah.
What concerns me is they've tried a lot of things, but it kind of seems like maybe they're pulling back from that now. No more short treks. As you mentioned at the top of the show, they've canceled a lot of these shows
Mhm.
that people really like, and we don't even know when Strange New Worlds is coming back. We know it is, but we're sort of left dangling. So that's not so wonderful.
Yeah, yeah. And I do see that they are expanding with other franchises. Like they've created like 3 or 4 different Dexter shows, and what is the other
Yellowstone
one?
has
Yeah,
some
Yellowstone. That's the one.
spinoffs and
Yeah.
The
stuff.
franchise business model, which can be frustrating when it's not handled well, and it
Right,
frankly,
right.
it usually isn't, in my view.
Yeah. Well, you're putting all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
So that's the problem with that.
So far, I'm digging everything that Taylor Sheridan's coming out with.
Mm-hmm.
Landman and Tulsa King. And
Well, and I'm wondering too if that's, you know, kind of circling back, that's the difference, right? Because again, so much of like the industry now is that IP driven and milking it for what it's worth. But with, you know, Yellowstone or any of like Sheridan's other shows, you kind of have that singular authorial viewpoint because it is very much like a Taylor Sheridan joint, as opposed to now Star Trek. Yeah, I know you have, you know, Kurtzman ostensibly like, you know, shepherding everything, but because they are trying so many things, and again, it's just different approaches, there isn't that same kind of singular, coherent sort of lens. It's hey, do you want to do a Star Trek show? What's your idea? And sometimes you get a Lower Decks, and sometimes you have a Section 31 pilot that gets repurposed into a TV movie. Like,
Yeah. Well,
And it's
I mean,
also different time frames and stuff too, as opposed to in the
Yeah.
90s when we had TNG DS9 and then Voyager with the overlap and kind of seeing the same time frame but from different angles.
Yeah.
That was a different thing than we're getting largely than what we're getting today.
yeah.
yeah. And then if you watch any of the new shows, like just count how many producers are credited.
Yeah.
It's like 15 to 20 for each episode. It's crazy.
right.
So that's a lot of people who want to put their stamp on it. So then it muddles it as opposed to a singular vision. So
let me ask you guys something. This is something we've talked about a couple times over the years, something that I've harped on over the years. And Matt, you touched on it, that TV is just made differently now than it was 10, 20, 30 years ago. And I'm curious your opinion, both of you, your opinion on the Orville, because I really enjoyed that show, and watching that show while watching Discovery at the same time. When we were reviewing new episodes, that you know we would review 2 episodes. We would talk about Discovery, and then at the end of the discussion, we'd shift and talk about the Orville for 20 minutes, even though this wasn't really an Orville show and it's not really a Star Trek show, but it is a Star Trek show. And the thing is, they used the old formula. They were shooting television today as if it was 30 years ago, and I felt like it was working, and it was working well. And I just wish more people in power noticed that. So I just want to get your thoughts on that. Either of you, both of you.
Yeah, no, fair. I was just like, Oral, we're all being so polite. It's like
I was just like, yeah, no, I totally agree with you.
yeah, no. It's like,
Go ahead, Matt.
yeah, no, thanks. It's like I'm of 2 minds of it, because is it in Star Trek 2 where like Scotty's like complaining about like, you know, the young whippersnappers and whatever, and you know, all the changes they made to the Enterprise, or maybe, and it's like, no, I know what it is. It's Star Trek 3. It's when you first see the Excelsior for the first time. And
yes.
he's like, what, that bucket of bolts and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, new minds, new ideas, blah, 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 right? And I both believe that. It's like, yes, let's things change and that's okay. But like, it's also okay if you have your niche to like do something that is like that throwback. Like, I do think there is room for both. What did grind my gears about the Orville a little bit wasn't the Orville itself. I don't know if you folks know this, but the internet's kind of toxic and annoying and likes to discourse. I'm just finding this out now.
I had not heard that.
Yeah. So it's like Orville being used as a cudgel to beat down Star Trek kind of annoying me, but also I get it because it's different, right? Yeah. And like, I mean, pretty soon we're going to be the target audience of CBS, and we're going to get, you know, our version of like the Matlock reboot, and we're going to love it. So
Starfleet NCIS.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm shocked we didn't get that.
Well, hey, give it time. I mean, that's
true. Yeah,
that's probably next up. Yeah. So I also really love the Orville, and I really enjoyed the fact that Seth MacFarlane set out to basically film it as if it was TNG, and that's not just in the storytelling style and the writing, but in the production design, in locking down the cameras more, just pretending like they're using big 1980s cameras in a lot of the scenes, and because I really enjoy Discovery. It is often a hot mess. And by the way, I think season 5 of Discovery is where they finally got everything sort of working. I at the same time, I wasn't super excited about it. If I weren't doing a podcast, I might not have been as quick to watch it. I was happy that I did. But the thing is and Strange New Worlds is guilty of this too. Guilty. Well, I'm coloring you're going to see what I'm saying here. But the freneticism, the crazy action-oriented production design, I've got nothing against it. When it's appropriate, I love it. It's just I don't need that like all the time. Yeah. And for my money, I think my favorite Star Trek of the current era is Lower Decks, and partly because they did do a modern twist on old school Star Trek, largely episodic. The way it was shot and filmed, the production design, even though it was animated, was going for that kind of vibe, but with a modern flair, and of course shorter episodes. They're cramming a lot in, so it is definitely more high energy. But I am a big supporter of looking back to some of those older shows and you don't have to copy them. And it's hard to recapture that era, right? Because we don't live in that era, right? All media is a product of its time, but that doesn't mean you can't be influenced by it. And as I mentioned, we watch TOS and Voyager, all that stuff for our podcast, and it's really great. I mean, I love TOS, but sometimes you're watching, you're like, I can't believe how good the writing is, right? Like, despite all the challenges they had, this story is just, it fits together so well. And
it goes the other way too, though. It goes the other way too.
Well, sure.
With TOS. Scott's doing a rewatch, and
I am for the first. No, I'm not doing a rewatch. I'm doing a watch.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm sure he'll affirm that it's tough. It's tough sometimes.
Oh yeah, and so no, some of them are very tough. Absolutely, and that's where we now have modern production design and better sensibilities about certain things. And
I'll never get used to a woman on the bridge.
Yeah, well, that sort of thing that crops up. It's very interesting to sort of gauge the spectrum of progressivism. What was considered progressive in the 1960s for sure.
Yeah, I think that where we're at with things right now, I think it feels like we're at a reset, like they're trying to figure out their way.
Yeah.
I think things like Legacy really took them by surprise, more so than they thought. And they don't know what to do with that at this point. I know that Jerry Ryan has mentioned that she was pitched a 7 of 9 series even after all the Legacy stuff. And she was like, no, we got to do Legacy. That's the promise. And so I don't know why they're fighting that one as much.
None of us get it. We've talked about it before. That's what everybody wants. That's what's going to make them the most money and get them the most eyeballs on the TVs. But
I am curious to see what they do with Academy.
Yeah, agree. Because that's something that they've been pushing around since before Star Trek 6. You know, Harvey
Yep.
Bennett,
Yeah.
back in the
Yep.
day, he wanted Star Trek 6 to be that Starfleet Academy movie with just the bookends of Shatner and Nimoy, and they were like,
well, I wonder if they'll take any of those old ideas and repurpose them. You know,
and shoot them 1,000 years in the future.
yeah, just
See
change
what's
them
up.
up a little bit. Yeah, I don't know.
It's another odd bird of a show, because again, on the one hand, it's like, okay, I don't know, I like the characters involved. I don't know how excited I am, but then on the other hand, they're hiring like Paul Giamatti and
Holly Hunter.
Hunter, these brilliant actors, and so I that's how they keep getting you. They keep enticing you and saying like, okay, well, I'm at least gonna take a look at this thing.
Yeah.
And then the negative part of my brain's like, oh, that's such a sad like statement of where the entertainment industry is now. Like Holly Hunter has to do Starfleet Academy.
on Paramount Plus.
Carol Kane has to play a kooky alien engineer on Strange New Worlds on a streaming show.
Right.
Imagine Carol Kane. It's like,
yeah,
I appreciate it for David Cronenberg's on Discovery. Like, what are we doing?
Which still blows my mind, and I loved him on it every moment of it. But it's so amazing. Of all people, David Cronenberg.
What did you think of the review?
Director?
Oh no, you haven't seen it. Never mind.
No, I know. Yeah, that he's Daniels.
Yeah. That was
little member berries for me in concept, but we'll see how the execution is.
I was like when they referenced Enterprise. I like that they were doing it more. And more, especially on lower decks.
Touche.
I'm an Enterprise supporter from way back.
It's a lot better than people remember. I like revisiting
it especially when you watch it again, because it does have that flavor. It's like that. It's the pinnacle of all that, particularly like the production design. It's still styrofoam rocks, but it's the best HD styrofoam rocks from that period of Star Trek. Right? They all the people, they figured out how to do it, and then there was the break and had to do a total reset because all those people are all dead.
I love that they did a whole episode that somebody got stabbed in the leg.
Occasional.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's it. Go for it.
No, say Patrick, to your point about TV being of its time and kind of like time travel and things like that. If you're ever nostalgic for the Bush era, just put on Enterprise.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We talk about that a lot on our show about when we're doing Enterprise. Is that there's that interesting sort of cultural framing about what's going on at the time, particularly season 3.
Yeah.
All right, so we did the survey. We had 360 respondents, which great.
Wow.
Yeah. And so we asked people the current state of Star Trek. Great and exciting. Okay, could be better. The new stuff isn't for me. Over half, 51%, said okay, could be better, which kind of feels about right.
Yeah, that tracks.
Yeah, there was a little bit more than a third of saying that the new stuff was exciting and they loved it, and about 11-12% ish just not for them. Which
the counterfactual I wish we could investigate is if you asked this exact question in 1995. I think we'd get the exact same answer.
maybe.
Because I was there. I remember the Usenet forums and FidoNet and all that.
But the yellow people from 1995 are dead now. So
that's true.
Well, mostly by their own hand, as it happened.
So then,
sorry.
So then we asked people, "What's your favorite new Star Trek show or TV movie?" There's the one TV movie. Overall, 43% said Lower Decks.
Really?
Yeah, Lower Decks got the highest.
Right.
Just behind that was Strange New Worlds.
Sure.
Okay. The lowest one was Prodigy. Only 12 people voted for Prodigy.
That's because only 12 people saw it.
Yeah. I don't think Short Trek's got any votes at all.
No.
They didn't
I love Short Treks.
There
I mean,
was
I don't love all
Trek.
of them. Yeah, I don't like all of them, but I love the format. I
that
like
is the
not
one
being
complaint-
constrained,
Yeah, that is the one complaint I heard about the survey was I couldn't answer multiple times. So I only let people answer one
instead of like a ranking, like a ranked choice.
Yeah.
How many votes did Section 31 get? I'm just asking for a friend of mine. A friend
also
who doesn't
0.
exist.
Also 0. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. So Discovery only got 22 votes, 6%. I'm kind of shocked by that. I would have thought it would have been higher, but
But they were all Scott.
They were all Scott. Yes.
This has nothing to do with anything. I would like to interject. The investigation for the previous polling is still ongoing. So
Okay.
we've made a lot of headway.
Yeah, but you're still the Strongbeard, right?
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Was Picard on that list? I forget if Picard was on that list. I can't.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot.
Yeah. I the reason why I ask is because
you know how I know, because when I took it, I got to this question. I said, "What the shit, man? What is this?"
Well, I asked in part because I don't know about you guys. When we covered Picard, I think that's when we got our biggest numbers internationally, right?
Yeah.
Like, in terms of downloads, like everyone was watching that show all over the fucking planet.
Season 3 specifically.
Yeah, in particular season 3.
Yeah.
But which I mean, I enjoyed overall. I enjoyed Picard. I mean,
What's funny is I sent these questions to everyone, and nobody mentioned that Picard is off the list.
I think that says something right there, right?
Yeah,
where it sort of fits in the brain space.
Yeah. And then in the last question was, in the future, I'd like to see, and I just came up with some scenarios. Either Starfleet Academy, more Strange New Worlds. Strange New Worlds evolves into a TOS reboot. It kind of feels like that's what's going on. Star Trek Legacy, a TNG reboot show or TV movie. Something different with the new crew, that live action series in development with Tanya Newsom, and Star Trek needs to take a break. Kind of scattershot answers. It was all over the place, really.
There's two big ones. What are the green and the red there? What's the biggest?
The biggest one is they want Star Trek Legacy.
Mm-hmm.
That's 26, nearly 27%, about 97 people. The second one was more Strange New Worlds at about 23%. So,
well, we all know
the Paramount,
that's
about half. Yeah,
we all know the Paramount executives listen to this show. We've
That's
talked
right.
about it in the past. They're sitting in their own cars, in their own driveways.
That's right.
To this
Seriously
podcast
taking
right
notes.
now. Yes,
And that's why they greenlit Section 32.
that's right. But I like that the TOS reboot idea only got 3 people.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nobody wants a reboot.
TNG reboot.
No, I'm terrified if that's the direction. I've keeps that rumor's come up a lot. I keep hoping it's false because I think that's where I would find trouble.
I bring it up on the show because I think for us, that's the Star Trek we grew up with, like that and DS9, like that era. So it makes sense for the nostalgia bait. Hey, we're gonna reboot TNG.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just if you don't do it, like we said earlier in the show, if you don't do it to the right sensibility, right? That and can we trust the people in charge who I respect and I'm appreciative of the content they've produced, but I don't know if I trust them to reboot TNG, particularly even what you see Picard season 3, which is the most well received. I enjoyed it. I still had problems with it. I still think they made some pretty silly choices, and going back to the Borg well for the billionth time was not that exciting for me.
I like that the changelings got the tag out in the middle of it and just never see him again. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it was like such a clever idea to start with anyway, right? Not to relitigate that. The thing is do you really, if you reboot TNG, do you actually get TNG? No, you don't. You're gonna get something different.
Get something else. Yeah.
Why bother? And it's the same thing with the TOS, Strange New Worlds going into TOS. It's another thing. It's like, no, can't we just enjoy Strange New Worlds for its own thing? And then TOS still is TOS. TAS is still, I don't mind going back into those worlds, especially when there's all this other unexplored territory. One of the greatest disappointments of Section 31 is it was advertised as we're going to go see Enterprise C era type stuff, that lost era where we don't know a lot of what happened. There's a lot of lore you could explore there. And no, we got a completely ridiculous and disconnected story where you couldn't even tell which time frame you were in at any given time.
It didn't matter.
Yeah, there was much argument about where it took place in the timeline.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing that's so frustrating because they have the ingredients to make something we want. Because I think the overall consensus is we want TNG era, as in Picard era. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And they've got the like you just mentioned, the rebooting is, they've already covered all this stuff. They've already done a TNG. Let's not reboot it. They've already done TOS. Let's not reboot it. But they're doing a continuation. They could do a continuation in Legacy. they could expand on the things that we're already really excited about. Like, we're digging the Strange New World storylines, and we're really liking the timeline of Picard. Learn from that.
Right.
Absolutely, and it's also Lower Decks, right? Lower Decks is a little bit before Picard era. Picard era, like as you said, people are excited about what's going on in there and developing new lore. And then this idea again with Section 31, that particular product didn't maybe work out so well, but the concept of a TV movie format where you can explore parts that you maybe don't do a full investment initially into a TV series or a feature film, but man, wouldn't it be great to get to see some of these like corners of the franchise explored that we really wouldn't be able to see otherwise? You focus on Klingons or what? I don't know.
Yeah.
The opportunities are endless, and the audience is out there ready to eat that shit right up. Right.
Right. There's been some great Delta Quadrant books, Voyager books about after Voyager, and so maybe something in that.
That'd be great. That'd be great.
And you've got a lot of those sets built in that what they call the holodeck now, like the volume. Like you can repurpose stuff and make those TV movies significantly cheaper than what they would need to be, really.
Yeah.
So
And if you make the stories good, you can.
Yeah.
I mean, we just this week we just were discussing the Drumhead for no particular reason, and it's basically a bottle episode. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yes.
It's a riveting episode because the story is
Yes.
good, the acting is good. You don't necessarily need to have the action sequences filling up time and not doing anything, right?
Right.
Well, and to the point about TV,
Somebody got a warrant?
Yeah, I live very close to a police station. That's what it is. Yeah.
No, but to the point about like TV movies, it's like the scope and focus. Like I think that's what you're talking about, Patrick, because it's like The Way of the Warrior in DS9 essentially was a TV movie. It aired both parts at once, and then they chopped it up for syndication later. Yeah, it's
You're
it
right.
does the
Absolutely.
insurrection thing where it's like a super long episode, but it has that scope, it has that focus. It's part of like the greater like narrative, as opposed to, hey, let's do Suicide Squad, but like put Star Trek on it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So,
It's so bad.
Yeah.
they saw Star Trek Renegades on YouTube, and they're like, hey, we should actually make this.
Renegades would have been better.
Dan looks like at the start of Apocalypse Now as I mentioned Renegades. It's just like the fan,
Yeah.
planes are going, it's the helicopter, and the napalm shoots off, and the doors.
How do
are
you
playing
shoot
in the
women and
background.
children?
Punch in the mirror.
Well, we just did a watch of that was Renegades, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we just did a watch of Renegades for last week or the week before.
Yeah.
I did a watch of the first half of Renegades.
Yeah, Dan discovered you can watch things at 2 times speed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I should have done that. Oh, I might have got through the whole thing, but
But yeah, so that's kind of where we're at. We don't have any hard numbers to really say what's successful, what isn't. I mean, you can look at other things too, like the merchandising. Playmates tried to revive the Star Trek toys, and that quickly crashed and burned. But now you've got other companies doing them. So will they do better as a more niche aimed at the collectors? Maybe. I know right now Toy Fair is going on, and Nacelle debuted some of the figures with price points. They're like about $28, $27.95 or something like that. About $28 for the new figures, and they're supposed to be great, and they look fantastic. So,
yeah, no, they look good.
Yeah, well, we have the CEO of Nacelle.
Yeah, we had them on.
And he also did the shows on Netflix, the movie that made us and stuff, and so they're doing different different characters and different figures and stuff like that.
Yeah, they're gonna do a Wei-Yun.
Yeah,
That's great.
it all looks exciting.
Are they going to do like 6 different Wei-Yuns, but they'll all look the same? But
They're all the
different
same. You
heads.
just buy 6 of them.
Yeah.
No, I think they should be
one of the-
priced differently depending on which Wei-Yun it was.
So here's a question. We have guests, gentlemen.
That's
We have
right.
guests today. One of the figures that Nacelle is doing is Tuvix. So since we have guests here,
Oh,
I
yeah.
have to ask you. Oh, see, Matt.
This is gonna get me canceled.
Matt's staring at the ceiling because he's like, oh, here it comes. Here it comes.
Oh, great. That means he gets to go first.
So I guess my question is, would you agree, like any rational person would, that Tuvix was murdered by Captain Janeway? Go.
No, you see, I'm a feminist and I support women and their decisions. So Janeway was right.
Wow.
his body, my choice.
Exactly.
Wow. All right. Yeah.
I actually, man, we did, I don't know, last year we did 2 weeks. I can't remember. It wasn't too long ago. I don't disagree that she totally murdered Tuvix. I agreed that she should have.
Wow.
But it's not an easy philosophical question, as many ridiculous sci-fi philosophical questions are not easy 100%. To answer. But it is. I mean, and my question, of course, and I'm not the first person to ask this. Is like, what happened to the flower? Right? Remember the flower, because it was Tuvix was 3 DNA strands.
Oh,
it was
right.
The flowers.
Like
and when they separated it, I don't know where the flower DNA went. Is that still in both Neelix and Tuvix? Are they dealing with that? Do they have spores?
It's in the prison
Stamens?
purse.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Or Tuvok figured that out after a little bit. He's like, why am I budding?
That's it. Yeah, that's how they reproduce now.
Yeah.
So that episode is 35 years old at this point.
And people are still debating.
And people are still talking about it. And so the question is, do you think 30 years from now people are going to be talking about Discovery?
Nope.
Yeah, it depends. I'm trying to think of something that jumps out.
And
as much as I enjoy the show, but
and part of it. I'm sorry.
No, sorry. I was gonna say the low-hanging fruit of that is like, yes, they will, because we got Strange New Worlds because of Discovery season 2. But that's the Yeah.
But again, so my point with that is it goes back to the non-episodic nature of some of these modern shows, where I can remember things that happened on Discovery. But to ask me what episode it happened in, or what the name of that episode was, maybe even what season, I can't tell you.
I agree.
No, I tell you that.
I would say, and I've argued this for a while now, that as much as I enjoy, and I do enjoy serialized storytelling, I really am hopeful that Star Trek will continue to move away from this. And it seems to be, to a certain degree, again, Lower Decks and Strange New Worlds have done this well. I think a good balance, because, and Dan, you make such a great point. Like, you're watching Picard. One of the flaws in Picard, even season 3, is that because they're telling a story that has to have ups and downs and denouements and all that other stuff spaced out over the season, particular episodes have weird, like the multiple plot threads. Like you're like, this tonally doesn't work with this, but they have to say it now because they have to set up what's going to happen in the next episode or two, and it's very complicated to do well. And I frankly think they often didn't do it well. Even if we're still enjoying it, it's in spite of, not because of how it's structured. With the episodic, it's much easier to be like, that's a good episode, that's a bad episode, or whatever. And as a podcaster, right, when we're jumping around, it's so wonderful to just be like, oh, we'll just do this episode from season 4 of TNG and everyone's happy. Well, you can't do that with Discovery. You can't do that with Picard. I'm curious what it'll be with Starfleet Academy, because it's like, how do you go? You can't. It was like, oh yeah, let's just talk about Discovery season 2 episode 3 this week. It's going to be meaningless to the people who haven't watched it all recently, right?
I watch a lot of Star Trek nowadays on Pluto. I watch whatever happens to be on those 3 channels that they have. So often my wife will walk in the room, and she's not a big Trekkie, but she's seen TNG, Deep Space Nine, Voyager. She saw them once through when we were dating, and that was 15, almost 20 years ago. Right. And she walked in yesterday and said, oh, is this the one where the Ferengi were in Roswell?
Yeah. Little Green Men.
And that was, Little Green Men. And so that was someone who watched the show once 20 years ago, and they could pick out remember individual episodes. And I just don't think that happens with the serialized storytelling.
I agree.
But
no. And you don't get the character development. I was just thinking, I don't know anything about the Discovery crew. I couldn't even name half of them. You know, I can tell you detailed background about Deep Space Nine, Voyager, Next Generation. I can tell you where they were born. I can tell you the experiences they had at the Academy. I can tell you about their parents. A lot of characters' parents. I can tell you about their parents.
Not just main characters, supporting characters. You can do that. One-off characters, you will know some of that information.
Yeah, that's true. I think too. One of the big things missing right now is the philosophical debates, like the Tuvix debate. Like, we don't get those, man. And it's serialized or episodic, either way, it doesn't matter. Like that kind of stuff is missing. That soul of Star Trek. But
I don't think I agree. And duet. Oh, sorry, Patrick. Go ahead.
Well, duet's a very good example of the type of thing where it's such an important episode and a brilliant episode. I think we got the closest to that on Lower Decks. I think Lower Decks did tackle some of those things. However, a limitation of Lower Decks, it is going for a more whimsical, funny, that's their goal. So even when they have that fun little moral quandary, it's quick, it's simple, it doesn't go as deep as a duet or the Drumhead, or last week we did Inquisition, talking about the origin of Section 31 and just the concept of shadowy government agencies, that sort of thing. And it's that's one of the most important things that sci-fi exists for, is giving space to examine some of those ideas somewhat removed from our current reality, because sometimes it's just too difficult to try to parse all that out, put it on a space station, put it on a spaceship, and you can think about it better. And I agree. I think we get less of that with Discovery and Picard. They pretend like they're doing it.
Right.
But it's so surface level, and because of the structures of the shows being stretched out over the season, like, you're not going to make a moral point over the course of 10 or 15 episodes. It's not really, it's too long.
Maybe that's why Lower Decks was the number one show for people. Because it's got a little bit of that in there. So I don't,
a little of that flavor.
Sean says, I think the soul of Star Trek died with the last episode of Enterprise.
What do you mean, Demons and Terra Prime? Is that those two last episodes of Enterprise?
Nice. Well, we should probably get to our listener feedback. So let's get to that.
Listener feedback.
All right. So we do have some voicemails to play.
Really?
Surprisingly enough.
They're all from Scott. They're all from
No. So I'll play the first one. This is from Steve. So here we go.
Hey, fellas. This is Steve in Southern Illinois. I wanted to weigh in really quick. I'm here at work, but I heard your call to action, so I'm going to tell you what I think of Star Trek. I love Star Trek. I used to dress up as Star Trek in high school, and I play an awesome game called Starfleet Battles, which is a great strategic simulation for Star Trek. Current Star Trek doesn't speak to me, and I have 4 boys, and what kills me is that the content is just not appropriate for my sons who range from a junior in high school down to a 3rd grader. Old Star Trek, you can watch that show, any of the shows, with any of your kids, and you don't ever have to feel worried about it. Everything is copacetic. Everything's awesome. It's great and exciting. New Star Trek, I always have to be wondering every episode, what are they going to do that's maybe that is not appropriate for a Midwestern family? And that's I think my biggest concern, or my biggest complaint, is they've lost sight of perhaps what made Star Trek and what people like about Star Trek. So that's my thoughts, and thanks for keeping the show going. Chat is wrong.
Wow,
it's nice when the Wendigo calls in.
I want to know how you dress up as Star Trek. As the franchise, or presumably meant a uniform.
Well,
the credits. Star Trek.
The credits.
He said
there's some embarrassing photos of me from my high school.
Like, did he go to school every day dressed as like Star Trek?
That'd be kind of awesome.
He's saying he attended conventions when he was in high school.
That's true. Yeah.
Because
for the most part, it's family friendly stuff.
I wore the Monster Maroon every day. But,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah.
My favorite uniforms by far, Monster Maroons.
Dan, you're
Unless
a little
your
bit low.
kids-
Your audio.
am I?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, unless your kids walk in when the siege of AR 588 or when Crusher's having sex with a ghost, then
Yeah.
it's just weird. But
Or when Shatner's just smacking a woman around.
That's right.
right,
Yeah. Falling in
Right.
love with a robot.
yeah.
Okay. We also have
I'm just
another-
happy we have the opportunity. Sorry, just an
yeah,
opportunity
go
to
for it.
talk about Discovery's Klingon like full frontal. Like that was.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
That was a very foundational moment for me at 30 something. So
You
I mean, to
brought
be
this
fair,
up
Klingon.
before.
they do have that
Boo.
Lower Decks episode where Boimler is, exposing quite a bit.
That's-
They
that's true.
cover it up.
that's
For
true.
the block,
That's true.
yeah.
But my
Wow.
son really enjoyed that. He was 13
If I
at the
ever
time.
if I ever start a band, I think Full Frontal Klingon is going to be the name.
Oh, that's fantastic.
What did Mariner call that? She looked at the Klingon. She called it a boob window.
Oh yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
the
yeah.
boob
Yes.
window. That's
Yeah.
right.
Larissa and Beitor were very not to get too personal on the podcast, but
Mhm.
they're very foundational for me. So
I
I appreciated the
agree
callback.
100%. Absolutely.
Make of that what you will,
And
listeners.
Scott strokes his beard. Yeah, yes, I remember.
Oh yes.
All right, we got another voicemail, so let me play that.
So I'm hoping this is the Trekcast line, since you guys are always asking for voicemails. Well, here's a Trekcast fan, and since this is the crossover episode, I'm thinking Paddington the Bear and a Moopsie. And Paddington gets the Moopsie to stop sucking bones. Out
What?
of the wildlife that they encounter. Be an interesting movie. That's all I got. Peace out.
That's all I got.
That's my favorite voicemail ever, and I like particularly the sucking bones. That how the tone.
Yeah.
How he said the sucking bones.
What
The
is
last guy?
Moopsie?
The last guy is not going to let his kids listen to our podcast.
No,
No,
not,
probably
after,
not.
after that voicemail.
not anymore. No.
Stop sucking those
Yeah.
bones.
Well, what if Moopsie convinced Paddington to start sucking bones? Like, what if it was the inverse?
Oh
That's
yeah,
the
you
movie I
can-
want to see.
If you're kind of
Yeah.
polite, sucking bones will be right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like if you
I'm
like
not-
marmalade,
I'm not
try
sure-
human blood.
I'm not sure we're all talking about the same thing. So let's just move on.
We never know what
Diggity
goes
dog.
on in London. You know, London's a pretty intense
That's not marmalade.
city.
Oh no.
So sorry to the first voicemail.
All right, we got a couple people on the line too that want to chat. So let's bring in Hipster Spock, and then yeah. Hey, Hipster Spock, what's going on, man?
What's up?
Hello there, guys.
Hey,
Thanks for the crossover thing. This is pretty cool.
yeah, it's pretty fun.
It's good to listen to other people other than these three bozos.
That's right.
Vulcans
No,
are
guys.
notoriously honest.
Yeah.
No, guys. I'm just joking. It's cool. Now,
Yeah.
couple of things. First of all, this serialized television. Yeah, I don't really like it. Remember the stupid burn from Discovery? That was stupid, right? and then the thing is, when you get into, and then most of those things end up being stupid mystery boxes, which ends up being a complete disappointment. And you just, and then they never know how to end it in a very satisfying way. I mean, yeah, just not very good. So, and then if the story arc ends up being stupid, they pin themselves into a corner,
Absolutely, yeah.
and then it's very difficult to get out of it. And so, yeah, it's not worth it. I like the Strange New Worlds thing where everything's different. So it's a lot easier or a lot more likely to have good episodes where or you know, bright spots during the for the season that can salvage the season rather than just you know, throwing that season into the dumpster.
You know, as you mentioned it makes me think that part of the benefit of that is like when it's episodic, if there's a bad idea, it's fine. It's one episode.
Yeah, we just don't do that again.
Yeah,
Low
right.
risk.
Right. But when it's serialized, if it's a bad idea, that's the whole season.
Yeah.
They're stuck.
Stuck with it. Absolutely. I 100% agree.
And then you got to realize that Star Trek used to be written by good professional science fiction writers. Right? These days, they're written by amateurs.
Amateurs making a lot more money than any of us.
That's true. That's true.
But still amateurs.
Yeah.
I really think the point about the structure is an important one, because there are episodes of TNG that are terrible, but they'll have that one scene between Geordi and Data that's like really important, and so it's not you get that enjoyment. I'm not going to go. There's wonderful scenes in Discovery that I'm not going to see for a long time because I'm not going to watch the whole season,
right?
Just to catch those 3 or 4 kind of interesting scenes.
Yeah, the one chapter in the book that's the whole season.
Yeah. We talked about this recently where there's certain B storylines or there's certain episodes where I remember the B storyline from that episode, and when it comes up, this is the one where Troy can't pass the commander exam because she won't order Geordi to his death. And when it comes up in my rewatch cycle, it's a reminder that, this is also the one where Data was stuck on the planet with amnesia.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's the thing. Oh, one more question. When are they going to release the Tuvix files?
Yeah.
Hopefully soon.
That's like the galaxy's biggest question. When are they going to release the Tuvix files?
I'm doing a Voyager rewatch right now, and I've been thinking about the debrief that Janeway would get when she was got back to Federation headquarters, and I'm just imagining the Admiral saying, this is day 9 of the debrief, and the Admiral says, sit down, Captain Janeway. I just got to this point in your log. We didn't talk.
So you kill the guy.
Why is there a
the guy was going around the bridge saying, "You're my friends. You're my friends. Please save me."
Why is there a JAG officer here? I stand by my,
that was pretty good, Scott.
That was good. That was a good Janeway. There's
if she's not available for Legacy, I mean, you could probably step right into.
You can voice her for Prodigy the next game.
Prodigy season 3.
Yep.
No, what's the more awkward conversation that Janeway has in debrief? Is it the Tuvix question, or is it so you turn into a salamander and fuck your Thompson?
Oh my god!
Yeah.
I listened.
That's an HR issue right there.
Yeah, for sure.
I listened to the Voyager rewatch podcast with Robbie McNeil and
That's right.
Garrett Wong, and they talk about Threshold quite a bit.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for being on, Hipster Spock.
Thanks, guys. Keep up the good work.
Thanks, Hipster Spock.
And then we also got Jazzbiz on the line. So let me bring him in.
It wouldn't be an episode of Trekcast without Jazzbiz.
Exactly. Exactly. There he is. What's going on, man?
What's up, buddy?
Not much. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Great. Thanks.
Where are you off vacationing now?
No, I have the in-laws here.
Oh, okay.
So I'm in another room. So
okay.
I'm digging the Star Trek or the Trekcast merch, the hat. I like it.
Yeah,
like it.
Promoting.
So, what do you think? How do you think the how's Star Trek going for you?
I think it's dying.
Okay.
I think if I do.
Yeah.
Because if Academy doesn't hit good, then it's dead. That'll be the death knell. So that's it.
Now, here's a question for you. Now, when you say dead, do you mean they stop producing stuff, or do you mean they'll produce increasingly less?
I think what
good
we'll do
stuff?
is we'll shelve it for a couple of years and then eventually reboot it.
If that's the case, I hope you're right, because I my concern in this era of squeezing every penny out of every IP, which I'm worried about James Bond now, for example.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I got a
is that
James
even
Bond
even
Lego
as it's
here.
yeah, but even as it's doing worse, they're like, well, we can still just keep feeding this shit to these people. We'll get what we can, and then it's truly gone.
Yeah.
You know,
It's like, let's make a Money Penny show. Let's make this type of show. Let's make a Q show.
Right?
Let's make something of Spectre. Let's make, and they're just going to merchandise the crap out of it, and people won't care. And
I know what they're doing.
Different shows.
I know what they're doing. They're taking the DNA. They're taking the DNA of old shows. And they're going, yeah, let's do this one. Yeah.
Let's and pour it into the other one. Just sort of.
That's
mix
right.
It up
That's
right.
Then it becomes Jurassic Park world, and they start making new dinosaurs because dinosaurs are boring. So we have to make super dinosaurs with other dinosaurs, and then they have to go crazier. It's like dinosaurs aren't cool anymore. We have to splice them and make them crazy.
10 years from now, it's going to be like, all right, they're dinosaurs. But they're in space.
Yes.
Well, I'd watch
and
that.
There'll be
That
Dino
sounds
Crisis,
great.
the game on PS1.
So they're going to have the Fast and the Furious director do it.
I cannot wait for that crossover. Fast and Furious and dinosaurs. Bring it together.
God.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah.
So if the Dynamix Rex is going around and asking everyone that they're friends and not killing it, would you splice it and turn it back into a raptor and a T-Rex, or would you leave it together, Chaz? That's what I really want to know.
Yeah, the big
It's all
moral
about family.
debate.
I think I do the Janeway. You'd have to take him back. I agree with Janeway.
Nice.
Murder it.
Murder.
Murder.
She's a murderer.
I wonder how many files Janeway scrubbed when she got back.
That's a good question.
That's probably why Tuvok lost his memory, because she did something to him.
She deleted Fairhaven just as they were pulling into San Francisco.
Nobody needs to know about this.
Reboot their wife. Bring their wife back.
Yeah, exactly. Factory settings restored.
Clear browser history.
Yeah. Jasmine, what do you think about the audio play that we're going to be getting at some point?
I'll listen to it at 2 times speed. So
I'm sure that's how most people listen to this podcast.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's how I listen to most podcasts, actually.
Well, usually if I wake up too late, I'll play you guys 2 times speed just to catch up. Because,
Oh, okay.
I'll be 5 minutes behind, but I kind of hear what you guys said. So, but it's kind of funny seeing Dan in the van and everything going crazy.
Yeah. Nice. Awesome, Jasmine. Well, thanks for being on.
Thanks, pal.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
And thank you to our voicemail callers today. We haven't had a voicemail in a while. It was nice.
Yeah, that's great.
It's nice to get to. So
Keep
thank you for
it
calling,
up.
guys. Appreciate
Voicemails
it.
are fun.
Yeah.
And then let's see. So that's pretty much wrapping it up. Do you guys want to talk about your shows real quick before we head out?
Sure,
let
Matt,
people
go.
know where to find you.
Yeah,
Go for it.
Yeah, so it's Pod-Wraiths, the Star Trek Deep Space Nine podcast. You can find us on wherever you get your podcasts. We also have an Instagram, and I think Elise made a Blue Sky for us as well. If you want to find me specifically, it's at Matty Hugh on Blue Sky and Letterboxd.
Right on.
Great.
And It's Got Star Trek, the It's Got Star Trek podcast. www.itsgotstartrek.com. We try to keep it easy. At It's Got Star Trek on all the socials. And we're at most of those social media places, but Blue Sky has been particularly interesting lately, and there's been a lot of engagement over there. But we're also on Mastodon, Threads, all that stuff. So come join us, come check us out. If you like this show, good chance you might find some entertainment.
In
our show.
Absolutely.
We'd love to have you.
Yeah. Awesome. Well,
right.
Yeah, that's pretty much wrapping it up. So we'll see you next time.
All right. Great.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks so much for inviting us. It's really great to
a lot
be
of
here.
fun.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Y'all have a good one.
All right, you too.
This is Captain Benjamin Sisko of Deep Space Nine and Space God to the Bajorans. I have a mission for you. This falls outside of Starfleet guidelines, so I can't order you, but I'm asking for volunteers. Volunteers who will subscribe to the Trekcast YouTube channel, leave 5-star reviews on your podcast app of choice, and share Trekcast across your social media accounts. If we can make our audience bigger, we might have a chance against the Dominion. Are you ready? Subscribe, like, and share. Are you with me?